You carefully pierce a hole through a tough little seashell with a sharp piece of stone. You string it around your neck. You feel the cold shell against your bare skin and walk with your head held high. For 99% of human history, this wasn't about fashion. It wasn't about looking good for your tribe. Today, you check your phone to see exactly who liked your profile or viewed your story. But 100,000 years ago, on a harsh prehistoric coastline, this tiny, seemingly useless shell was the very first social media network on Earth. Modern humans spend an average of 145 minutes every single day scrolling through social media feeds. You might think it is a modern addiction, but your brain is not broken. This desperate craving to be seen, to connect, and to build a personal brand is an ancient survival mechanism. To understand why your body reacts this way today, you need to strip away the internet, the cities, and every single modern comfort you know. Step back into the late Pleistocene epoch. You are standing on the edge of a vast, unforgiving African savanna. The wind howls around you. You have no smartphone, no written language, and no permanent home. Your entire world consists of a small band of 30 hungry hunter-gatherers. Every single day is a brutal calculation of calories. You hunt, you forage, and you try not to be eaten by giant Ice Age predators. In this violent world, finding food is hard enough. So why on earth would you waste your precious time and energy carving tiny holes into seashells? From a pure survival standpoint, making jewelry is a terrible idea. You cannot eat it. You cannot use it as a weapon against a cave lion. It doesn't keep you warm when the freezing night sets in. Yet archaeological evidence confirms that our ancestors spent countless hours making these exact beads. They walked for miles just to find the right shells. They traded them across massive distances, carrying them over mountains and deep river valleys. They were building a network. Just like a modern digital profile, these shells communicated exactly who you were to people you had never even met. But how do we know this isn't just a wild guess? The proof lies hidden in a dark cave at the southern tip of Africa. In the year 2004, archaeologist Christopher Henshilwood and his team uncovered something completely extraordinary deep inside Blombos Cave in South Africa. They found a cluster of tiny ancient seashells dating back roughly 75,000 years. The exact sedimentary dating is still carefully verified by researchers today. These were not random beach leftovers. Every single shell had been deliberately pierced with a sharp bone tool to create a perfectly uniform hole. Even more fascinating, the edges of these tiny holes were worn smooth. This friction pattern scientifically proves they were strung together and worn constantly. They were also coated in red ochre pigment. This means they were rubbing against human skin that was painted with ancient prehistoric cosmetics. Put yourself back in that dim cave. You are covered in red dirt, carefully stringing these tiny shells together around your neck in the flickering light. This exact moment marks a massive leap in your evolution. Your brain is unlocking complex symbolic thinking for the very first time in human history. A shell is no longer just a piece of calcium. It becomes a message. It tells anyone who looks at you exactly who you are. It silently reveals your status, your hunting skills, and your alliances. It is the prehistoric equivalent of a highly curated digital profile. As you walk across the harsh prehistoric landscape, you encounter other nomadic tribes wearing the exact same style of carefully crafted shell beads. You do not speak their language perfectly, and they live weeks away from your camp. Yet you instantly recognize each other as trusted allies. Today, you might boast about having thousands of followers on a glowing screen. But back then, this physical network meant the difference between life and death. However, maintaining this massive ancient network required immense mental processing power. Your brain had to keep track of a very specific number of friends. You could not just add unlimited connections. Your biological hardware had a strict cap, and understanding this limit is the key to our survival. In the 1990s, anthropologist Robin Dunbar made a fascinating discovery about your biological hardware. He studied the brains of various primates and human ancestors. He found that the neocortex, the thinking part of your brain, strictly limits how many stable relationships you can manage. For humans, that magic number is 150. This is famously known as Dunbar's number. Beyond 150 individuals, your brain simply cannot process the complex social dynamics required to maintain trust. How did your ancestors keep this massive network of 150 people connected without digital group chats? You did it around the campfire. Anthropologist Polly Weissner spent decades studying hunter-gatherers, observing exactly how human conversations change when the sun goes down. Her findings about your ancestors were completely mind-blowing. During the harsh daylight hours, your conversations are strictly business. You talk about where to find food, how to track prey, and how to survive. But at night, surrounded by the terrifying darkness, the firelight flickers across your face. You no longer talk about hunting. Instead, you start to gossip. Today, gossiping is often considered a toxic modern habit. But 100,000 years ago, this late-night whispering was the ultimate social glue for your tribe. Other primates build trust by physically picking bugs out of each other's hair. This physical grooming takes hours and strictly limits the size of their groups. Your brain evolved a massive biological shortcut. Gossip is verbal grooming. By talking about others, you can bond with multiple people at the exact same time. You instantly learn who is a brave hunter, who shares their food, and who is a selfish cheat, all without having to interact with them directly. This is exactly where your tiny shell necklace becomes incredibly powerful. It acts as a physical extension of this complex gossip network, signaling your status silently. While the campfire stories tell everyone about your reputation, the red-stained beads on your chest provide the visual proof to strangers who missed the nighttime stories. You sit comfortably by the warm fire, listening to the quiet whispers, knowing that your personal brand is being built across the vast prehistoric landscape today. If your brain had not unlocked this combination of symbolic jewelry and campfire gossip, you would never have built the alliances needed to survive the ice. Suddenly, the climate shifts violently. A brutal drought scorches the prehistoric savanna you call home. The rivers dry up, and the massive herds of prey vanish. Your tribe is starving. The local resources are completely exhausted. To survive, you must walk for weeks across unknown, dangerous territories looking for any food. You finally reach a fertile valley, but another group of hunter-gatherers already lives here. In this harsh world, strangers competing for calories are usually killed. They surround you, holding their heavy wooden spears. Your heart pounds in your chest as you realize you have absolutely no way to defend yourself. But before they attack, the leader looks closely at your chest. He sees the specific pattern of red-stained shell beads you strung around your neck. He lowers his weapon. Even though you have never met this person, he instantly recognizes the style of your jewelry from the ancient gossip network. He knows that you belong to an allied group. He knows you share his values, and most importantly, he knows you are not a threat. Instead of killing you, they invite you to their campfire. They share their precious roasted meat with you, saving your entire family from certain starvation. This is the ultimate twist of human evolution. Those tiny, seemingly useless seashells were not just prehistoric fashion accessories. They were literal life insurance. Your reputation preceded you across the continent. Thousands of years before money existed, your prehistoric likes and followers were directly cashed out in roasted meat. Anthropological studies of modern hunter-gatherer networks confirm this exact survival strategy. When local resources fail, these long-distance social ties become the only safety net available. If you had chosen to be selfish, or if you had failed to build your personal brand, you would have died alone in the freezing wilderness. Your brain wired itself to care deeply about what strangers thought of you. Building a network was never a luxury. It was a mandatory survival skill. The Ice Age eventually ended, and we built massive cities of glass and steel. We invented the internet, assuming we had left our primal instincts behind. But evolution is incredibly slow. Your biological hardware has not changed. You still carry the exact same brain that desperately needed those shell beads to survive. Today, when you post a picture online and nobody likes it, or when you are excluded from a group chat, your chest physically hurts. This is not you being overly sensitive. Modern neuroimaging shows that social rejection activates the exact same neural pathways as severe physical injury. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a broken bone and a broken social connection. Because for your ancestors, the result was identical. In the harsh prehistoric wilderness, being ignored by your tribe or failing to build a strong personal brand meant you were left behind to die. Your body panics today because your ancient biology genuinely believes that losing online followers will lead to starvation on the freezing Ice Age tundra. We have replaced bone tools with smartphones and red ochre with digital pixels, but our biological hardware has not received an update in millennia. You are still operating with a brain designed for a small group of 150 hunter-gatherers sitting around a crackling campfire. You still desperately crave the safety of the tribe. You still use symbols to tell strangers exactly who you are and what you value. The deep human urge to be seen, recognized, and validated is not a toxic disease of the 21st century. It is your greatest strength. It is the precise evolutionary mechanism that stopped your ancestors from killing each other and allowed them to build alliances across massive, unforgiving continents. So the next time you feel an overwhelming anxiety about your social status or your digital reputation, do not be angry at yourself. Take a deep breath and remember the incredible journey of your species. You are simply following the oldest survival protocol ever written. You carefully pierce a hole through a tough little seashell with a sharp piece of stone. You string it around your neck. You feel the cold shell against your skin and walk with your head held high. For 99% of human history, this wasn't about fashion. You check your phone to see who liked your profile today, but 100,000 years ago, this tiny shell was the first social media network on Earth.